In this video, I wanted to talk about a subject that I get asked about quite a bit, and that's basically how do I start powerlifting? How do I, get into it? How do I learn the lifts? And when should I sign up for my first powerlifting meet? So the first thing that I want to address is the whole question about when should you sign up for your first powerlifting meet. Usually, so my general response is when you want to. There's really no prerequisite to signing up for a powerlifting meet beyond being able to adequately perform the squat, bench, and deadlift with proper technique. And the reality is that you're probably never going to feel strong enough because you can always be stronger. You can always improve. But I think that what's important here is just to realize that if this is something that you want to do, if you do want to compete, start looking at competitions in different federations, USPA, US APL, whatever powerlifting federation that you want to compete in as in your country. Sign up for that. Look for meets and commit to it. Commit to the process of it. And plus, you'll learn so much about training, about yourself, whether or not you like the sport, from the whole process of prep for a competition. So that is my advice. Sign up when you feel, like when you want to. If it's something that you want to do it. And then the second off, so is like the big one I really think people need to stress is technique. So really stress proper technique on the squat, bench, and deadlift. Learn how to you pull with proper form, squat to depth consistently in training, all that good stuff. Technique builds a foundation, and plus powerlifting is such a technique heavy sport. The lift has to basically be perfect or else it will not count. Learn how to use leg drive in the bench press, squat to depth, different techniques, torso angles, deadlift, what style you like better. If you are stronger with conventional, or if you're stronger with sumo, which one you can progress on more, all that good stuff. So it's much easier on learning newer motor patterns than having to reteach yourself how to lift a weight if you've been lifting for like a year with bad technique. So just make sure that you do that like first off. Get on at least a program, so a powerlifting focused program that follows scientific principles of strength training. And also, this is optional. I really think that there's a ton of value in it. If you're serious about this sport, if you're serious about maximizing performance outcomes in it, you should invest in a coach. A coach is an investment, and typically, ideally, that coach, if you're powerlifting and that's your goal, they'll have a background with powerlifting. They they'll understand proper principles of programming. They'll know what technique is best for your biomechanics. They can give you program design. You don't have to worry about it. It's very difficult to be your own coach. So get somebody that you can trust to be your coach, to write programs for you, and then follow that. I also think, going off of that, a coach is somebody you can send form videos to. It's somebody who can become a friend and give you guidance, and you can really create a really long-term relationship. Like for myself right now, like even though I don't quote-unquote need one, I have a coach because I realize that there's a ton of value in that for my long-term progress and my goals, and I trust him, and I know that he has all of the qualifications to get me where I'm going, and like I have not been unhappy with it. Like it's not something I've never regret, because if I have a question, if I'm concerned about something, if something happens in my life, I need a program alteration, I can talk to him about it, and it's a very, very good compass and map to get to where you want to go. Another one is really film your sets. So when you're learning the technique, set up your phone, film at least one of your working sets every single time that you come into the gym, just to make sure that your technique's on point. You can send it to your coach, or you can compare it to techniques that you see of really good power lifters, because if you aren't aware of how you're lifting from a because when you're lifting, you can feel like you're doing everything right, but the camera doesn't lie. So you have that objective data, that objective feedback saying, am I doing this correctly or am I not? What changes need to be made? So that's another one of my recommendations. Training to failure all the time is not a smart idea, especially with powerlifting. There's increased injury risk. It's hard to recover from session to session, and the nervous system takes a longer time to recover than the muscular system. So if you're in a strength block or a peaking block, pushing it to past RPE 8, that often be on like an overreaching week. Training at those slightly lower RPEs is going to lower your chance of injury, improve long-term progress. You'll be able to recover better from session to session, and be able to see better long-term progress. Since we want to lift for life, we don't want to lift for just 1 year, like one mesocycle, blow out a tendon or something because we had technique breakdown at too high of an RPE that exceeded our tissue tolerance. By training sub-maximal RPEs 7 to 8 most of the time, you'll be able to see better adaptations, better long-term progress, and reduce your risk of injury. Another thing, I see a lot of powerlifters who only, and this is something that a lot of people are familiar with, they only do strength phases. They don't really take the time to do high volumes of training and really build muscle and develop that base. It's why, you know, lots of times like bodybuilders will kind of make fun of powerlifters for not really looking like they lift, but then being able to lift like these crazy amounts of weight. The reality is that the more jacked you are, the more weight that you can potentially lift. If you're following a proper phase potentiated sequence, like your coach probably should have you do, your program design should be where you focus on phases where you're developing hypertrophy, that base. You are building general strength from that hypertrophy base, because muscle cross-sectional area size is proportionate to force output potential and strength. So you can basically make more strength gains from the bigger muscle, and then use peaking right before competition when you want to express what you've built in that general strength phase. Make sure that you get any calorie surplus in those hypertrophy phases, slight calorie surplus like 200 calories above, and just eat, focus on the high volumes of training. Trust the process. You're not going to be as strong in that phase of training because it's not the goal. But as long as you are still, you know, you're gaining muscle, you're preserving that muscle indefinitely in a hypertrophy block, you're not going to get any weaker. And when you do go into that strength, you'll be able to have less adaptive resistance, and you'll be able to make better adaptations, more pronounced ones, in that strength block when you go into it. And then just have fun with it. I think that a lot of times, like, it's great that you're like super like hyped about this and like passion, and like obviously you're gonna have to have some training sessions where it just is like, okay, I'm going into war, like you're not going to really want to train. It's going to kind of suck. It's going to feel like it's a job, but like this, you should lift because you enjoy it fundamentally, and do powerlifting because you enjoy it. The reason why I got into this sport is because it really did change my life, my whole perspective on things. You know, got me better from eating disorder, helps me manage a lot of my anxiety and depression, and that's what it is for a lot of people. So to fundamentally sign up for a powerlifting meet and pursue the sport of powerlifting because you love it, and embrace it at all stages. When you're in that stage where you are building muscle, well, you know, you can be a little bit more, you know, take advantage of each phase of training. Each phase has its benefits, pros and cons. Like hypertrophy is really fun because your joints aren't going to feel as taxed. You're not going to feel as beat up in general with your joints, your nervous system, because it's not as demanding of those structures. And you'll probably look more jacked because you'll have more intracellular swelling from the higher volumes of training, and whatnot. And then strength is really awesome because you're going to be able to, you know, take advantage of those hypertrophy gains that you made in that previous hypertrophy cycle, and, you know, get really strong. And then with peaking, you'll be able to showcase all that hard work that you put up to it. You know, each phase, like there's always a calculated trade-off with each phase, but just remember the long-term goal, keep the end goal in mind, which is to get bigger and stronger, and remember that the dedicated athlete does what he must and not what he wants. So with that, I think I'm going to end the video here. If you guys liked it, be sure to like it, share it with your dog, friend, send it to your grandma, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.